I'm not a lawyer, but I just read all 35 pages of the lawsuit filed by Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, versus Sean Combs, aka Diddy. And ciao, let me give you the recap. Let me start off by saying the front page of this lawsuit has a trigger warning on it. So listen, let me say to you, this video could be triggering. You've been warned. Okay, so the beginning of the lawsuit just gives some background. It talks about how the two met in late 2005, early 2006. Cassie was 19 and Diddy was 37. Shortly after, Cassie was signed to Bad Boy. And at the time, Cassie was actually in a relationship with someone else and Diddy was in a relationship with Kim Porter. But then on Cassie's 21st birthday, Diddy allegedly pulled her into the bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Cassie cried, and that was their very first physical encounter. Over time, Diddy continued to pursue her, according to this lawsuit. And then in September of 2007, Diddy allegedly picked Cassie up from her apartment and gave her a pill. The suit says that Cassie didn't know what the pill was, but she took it at his request. She later learned that that pill was ecstasy, allegedly. Then there's a story told from 2007 when Diddy allegedly paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party Cassie was hosting, but not really because it was fake. And it was done to give her a reason to go to Miami and get away from her boyfriend. During that trip, it's alleged that they did a ton of drugs, and that is when they had their very first encounter. By 2008, Diddy had allegedly introduced Cassie to opiates and would often have pills and other drugs out in the open like candy. Quote, upon information and belief, Mr. Combs has been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. The suit also alleges that Cassie's medical records were being sent directly to Diddy's email address. For instance, the suit says when Cassie was experiencing some memory loss, potentially due to excessive drug use and or head injuries caused by Diddy's alleged beatings, her MRI results were provided directly to Diddy. Somebody call HIPAA. By this point in the relationship, according to the doc, the dynamic between the two had been established and continued to be reinforced. There's the 20-year age gap between the two, Diddy's high-profile position as a music mogul in the industry, and then he's the CEO of the label that Cassie is signed to. He's also, according to this document, aggressive and demanding, requiring blind loyalty from anybody he works with, and he constantly flaunted large amounts of cash, which was quite intimidating for Cassie. He also paid for her apartments, her cars, her clothes, and vacations. And all of this combined contributed to Cassie's feeling like her entire life was under the complete control of Diddy. And then the lawsuit goes into violence and abuse. The suit tells multiple stories of violence in the relationship. From a story of Suge Knight being spotted at a LA restaurant and Diddy allegedly getting dressed, retrieving multiple weapons, and running out of his house to go to that restaurant, to Diddy allegedly demanding that Cassie hold his weapons in her purse, knowing that she was scared, all the way to Diddy allegedly violently beating Cassie and then exercising his money, power, and influence to hide the bruises and at times hide her until she was healed. There are a few stories told in this lawsuit that allege Cassie was kicked or stomped, and even with staff or security witnessing the violence, no one would say anything or challenge Diddy. The lawsuit then goes into alleged trafficking. It claims that a few years into their relationship, there was an arrangement referred to as freak off or FO, in which male sex workers were hired for Cassie to engage in acts with, and Diddy would watch. These FOs would take place at hotels all around the country, which is where the trafficking part comes in, and heavy amounts of drugs and other things were always supplied. Diddy would allegedly give instructions during these FOs and record them. And even when Cassie would delete the footage, Diddy would tell her he could always recover the footage regardless if she deleted them. At one point, the lawsuit says that Diddy allegedly made Cassie watch one of the FOs that she thought she deleted while they were on a flight. And even during the FOs, according to the suit, Cassie would still be physically beat in front of the guests and security. A hotel allegedly caught one of the violent incidents on camera, but according to the suit, Diddy paid $50,000 for the damages done to the hotel and for the footage. There's a story in these docs that allege that on Cassie's 29th birthday, Diddy held one of Cassie's friends over the balcony of a hotel like a child. In 2011, Cassie developed a relationship with Kid Cudi while things between her and Diddy were not so great. And the suit claims that Diddy allegedly still called Cassie over for an FO. And while she was over, he went through her phone and found some exchanges between her and Kid Cudi. He allegedly placed a manual corkscrew between his fingers and then lunged at her. Cassie leaves. She stays with Kid Cudi. She comes back. She's met with more violence. She eventually stays with her mom. They start working things out. And then in February of 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Diddy allegedly told Cassie he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. And he wanted Kid Cudi and his friends home when it happened, according to this doc and Kid Cudi. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. In September of 2018, Diddy and Cassie allegedly met up for what Cassie thought was going to be a breakup dinner of sorts. Following the dinner, the two went back to Cassie's apartment, which was paid for by Diddy. And while there, Cassie claims that Diddy hit her while she told him to stop and tried to push him away. The suit says that the birth of Cassie's children has given her a new lease on life and given her purpose in her life, but that she has struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol that were all established and fueled by Diddy. She has had, quote, difficulty sleeping, eating, and her relationship with her family has suffered. She's even had thoughts of unaliving herself. She says that she is rebuilding her life and her career, and she is now ready to, quote, confront her abuser and hold him and those who enabled his abuse accountable for their actions. So she's suing for sex trafficking, human trafficking, sexual battery, sexual assault, sexual harassment, hostile work environment, and more. Diddy, through his attorneys, deny all of the allegations and says he is being extorted. Quote, for the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about the relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. Okay, y'all weigh in the comments.